everybody, it's Jesus Rivera with T.T.W Wolves. Today's video, we're going to be covering how to teach sit and down. You can apply this to puppies, adult dogs, older dogs. Doesn't matter on the age, it's pretty simple stuff. For today's treats, we're going to be using my dog's dog food. You don't have to go crazy with this. For some dogs, you might have to use a higher quality treat. We're going simple with Ace with some taste of the wild kibble. So first step on teaching the sit command is if your dog has no prior experience with any training, don't go ahead of yourself and give the command a name. The dog doesn't know English. You're wasting your time on repeating commands. If the dog doesn't know it, you're going to find yourself saying sit more than once, down, whatever the case may be. So what we're going to do first is we're going to teach the dog hand signals because they respond a lot better to those. For the marker words, we're going to be using the word yes. You may want to use a clicker. You can customize it. You can use whatever word you want as the marker word. In our case, we're going to be using yes. So I start off with a treat in my hand, and I like using my right hand as my hand signal hand. So I start the dog off by putting the treat in its nose. You want to slowly start elevating your hand over the dog's head. Once he sits, you're going to say yes and deliver the treat. You want to be quicker with the marker word. I should have said the marker word immediately once his butt touched the ground to let him know that that was the behavior he's getting rewarded for. So I'm going to do that again. Keep doing it. So again, start off with the hand in the dog's face. Move it up. Yes, and deliver. Yes, deliver. Yes, good boy. So we do this a couple times until the dog's getting familiar with the command and understands that the elevated hand over the head means put your butt on the ground. Yes. We're doing all this with the treat being right here behind my thumb. Yes. All right. Oh. All right, so for phase 2, we're gonna be eliminating the lure from our right hand. So our hand signal is gonna be, our hand that we're using for our hand signal is gonna be empty, no treat. We are gonna be having treats on our opposite hand or in a treat pouch. This is just a way to have the dog obey you without you having to bribe him and showing him treats in your hand. Yes, and you deliver with your opposite hand. Yes. Good boy. Yes. All right. All right, guys, so we're gonna go into phase 3 of the sit command. We're gonna be doing everything mostly the same on phase 3. The only difference is we're gonna be adding a verbal cue to it. We're gonna be adding the word sit to the command. So how I do this is it's really important when you add each individual thing. So I like to say the verbal command first, make sure I get the word out completely. A second later, we're gonna add the hand signal. This is just a way to teach a dog that the hand signal and the verbal mean the same thing. The reason we're doing them at different times is because dog's gonna focus on mostly one thing. So if you're saying the word and moving the hand at the same time, the dog's attention span is only probably gonna be focused on the hand moving and not even paying attention to the word. So we're gonna go ahead and say sit, and once we get the word out completely, we're gonna add the hand signal. Once the dog sits, we're gonna mark the behavior, so yes, and deliver the treat. I don't repeat commands at all. So for example, let's say that you say the word sit and you add the hand signal and the dog doesn't do anything. then we're gonna go to plan B. And my plan B is add body pressure. So body pressure, it's basically what it sounds like. You're basically, once you say sit, hand signal, the dog doesn't sit, you're gonna lean forward towards the dog. When the dog's gonna tend to naturally move back. So once the dog's butt touches the ground, mark it and still reward it. That's what plan Bs are for. You still have to reward the dog because they're beginners. So, let's go. All right, so remember what I said, we're gonna say the verbal cue first, and then we're gonna do the hand signal. So it'd be sit, yes, and deliver. Sit, yes. Notice I'm getting the word out first. Once I get the word out, I add the hand signal. Sit, yes. I'm just gonna show you what body pressure looks like. Yes. Notice I didn't do hand signals at all. I just used my body. Yes. You're basically just leaning forward like that. Yes. All right, so it's always good to have a plan B. All right, so at the end of the day, your dog's training should be look like this. Sit. Yes, good boy. Sit. Yes, good boy. Sit. Yes, good boy. All right, guys, now that we're done with the sit command, we're gonna jump into teaching the dog how to down. And I don't mean down like the dog jumps on the counter, you're screaming out down, and the dog's jumping up on you. We're teaching lay down here. So again, same principles of teaching sit. We're gonna use hand signals. I'm gonna teach you how I like to do it, and every dog's different, so I'm gonna teach you other alternatives on how to get your dog into a down. So surfaces where you're doing this really matter. Some dogs are really picky and don't like to do it or don't feel comfortable doing a down position in a hardwood floor. So you'll know if your dog's uncomfortable doing a down on a hard surface. What I recommend is moving the dog onto a carpeted area or bring out the dog bed. You can teach a dog how to do it down on its bed. So how I like to teach down, I like to have the dog go into the down position from a standing position. I don't like to get my dog into a sit and then a down. It just saves a lot of time and it just looks a lot cleaner. So I like to hold the treats in my right hand, and I'm gonna bring it to Ace's face, kind of holding my hand as if it was a cup. So the dog's nose should go in your palm. So again, I like him to be in a standing position. So once I have the dog really engaged on the food, I'm gonna slowly start moving my hands back and down at the same time. And that's what you should get. Let me do it without the dog. So my hand's gonna be right here, and we're kind of gonna move forward and down at the same time. This is kind of gonna guide the dog into that position. You wanna make sure that you're moving your hand very slowly. If you move too fast, what you're gonna do is the dog's head's gonna shift elsewhere, and it's probably just going to sit down or stand up, whatever the case is. So we're gonna do that one more time. And again, I get the treats in my hand. I let the dog engage with it, get excited about it, and we're slowly gonna start moving our hand. Once the dog's body touches the ground, that's where we should have marked it. And we reward the dog. So again, yes, and the dog gets the treats. I like to say the marker word immediately once both elbows touch the ground and the butt's down. And you want this straight body. One more time. Yes, deliver. You're gonna have dogs that aren't gonna be able to do that, or are gonna be a little confused in the beginning. So it's okay to get the dog into a sit position first and then guide him into the down position. So what I do is I get the dog into a sit position, put the lure in the dog's face, and we're slowly gonna go down as if we were writing an invisible L go down, and then towards you. And again, you want to move your hands very slowly. If not, you're going to lose the dog. And you want, remember, we're kind of controlling the dog with the scent of the treat. So that's why you want to move your hand very slowly. All right, so let's try it out with Ace. All right, I put the treat in his nose. We're slowly going to go down and out. Yes. And again, mark when his elbows touch the ground and his butt is down. Yes. Yes. And you want to work on that until the dog starts understanding, and then try to do it from a standing position. All right, so if your dog was doing good in the first way I taught down, then the next step would be we're gonna start shaping our hand signal. So this isn't gonna be down for us. Eventually it's gonna be this motion. How I like to do that is, remember, we started off like this. So we're kind of gonna switch our hand like this and do that same movement. Again, you wanna go slower, depends on your dog. If he's struggling, then that means keep working on where he was comfortable at, maybe a day or two, and then start adding more difficulty to it. All right, Ace. All right, so I start off with my hand like this. I let him get intrigued by it, and again, I want him in the standing position. Yes. And again, in the beginning, you might not have your hand all the way up here. You might have to go a little bit lower, but that's your job to keep working up to the point where you're standing up straight. Okay. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. All right, so the next step in teaching the dog down is adding the verbal command. So remember, in phase 2, you want to work your way up to where you're doing the hand signal from a standing position. So I would be like this. Once you got that, you're ready to move to this phase. And this phase, we're gonna go add the verbal command. In this case, it's gonna be down. And again, same idea as when we taught sit. We're gonna say down. Once we get the word out, add the hand signal. And same thing, we do not repeat the words. What happens when you repeat commands is you teach the dog that there's no consequence if it chooses not to do it the first time. So the dog's gonna learn it could do it whenever it wants. And that's not the correct way. So again, down, hand signal. If the dog does it, yes, mark it. If it doesn't, then repeat the hand signal up until the dog does it. If the dog doesn't do it, go to plan B, have the treat in your hand, or maybe go grab a stinkier treat and go back to lowering the dog into the position. Remember, if you ask the dog to do something, at the end of the day, you gotta make sure that he does it, all right? So let's get into it. Ace. Down. Yes. Good boy. Down. Yes. Down. Yes. Good boy. Down. Yes. Good boy. All right, if your dog's doing that, then you're ready to move on to adding some distractions with that behavior. All right, guys, I hope you liked the video. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe the video and leave in the comments any suggestions on what you think videos I should be making next. If you want to get some merch, make sure to visit TameTheWolves.com/apparel. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All right, guys.